Let me tell you something about a man named Henry McMoody. He was a peculiar gentleman, never had too many friends, but the friends he did have, he loved with the most conviction that a person of his understanding could. For they were not your usual friends. Our story starts out in a lonely town where not much goes on, where young McNitty was born. He goes through his years doing what he does when he does it, and that's how he likes it. He picked up the guitar when he was 14. He played a lot every day, and that was his dream to have it heard on the radio, his music. He attempts to do that dream, but not without resolution to the fact that it may be too difficult for him to attain. The next scene you're about to see is that he told his best friend Richie Meyer that he wanted to record music and have it played for a professional record studio producer named Tom Tommy. After this happens, you will see what happens. After this happens, the scene goes to him in high school. Talks a little bit about his younger days. He was 22 when he went to the studio, and he was 15 when a very eventful thing happened in his life. You will see throughout this movie many different things happen to McNitty, but he always stays with his comedic positivity and stays positive, looking at things through an extenuated point of view that only he could muster up. He does not, for say, feel like he's better than anybody, but he is who he is.
Hey, Brad, when are you gonna get your music on the radio?
Probably next week, man. You think there's any way you could take me there?
Yes, I can probably take you there.
Nice, man, nice. Yep, going straight to the offices of Tom Tommy. Do.
Time goes away and time will see ya. We can go by tomorrow. I've seen times and times they are right. We were wrong, we were wrong, we were wrong. Anytime I see you, I think of the things that we could do. All the lifetime we could live. Time goes away and then we are here. But the time to go, the time to go. Anytime you think me, I ask, look at me. Look away, look away, look away.
Hey, Tommy, what'd you think of my music?
Get out of my office before I kill you.
McNitty's luck at Tom Tommy's was not so good. He tried his hardest to impress him, but he failed. The next scene you will see is an animation brought to you by myself, and it's McNitty in high school, his high school days, and a very eventful thing happens in his life that changes the course of his life and the way he lives his life for many years to come. It's an event that he wrote in his notebook as The Day. One day, when McNitty was 16, he was at school, and every day he observed that this one kid would run around the hallway and punch other kids in the arm and yell at him. And his name was John Beltman. He was a bully. McNitty didn't really care for him. That leads us to an event that was very eventful in McNitty's life. He had just gotten done putting water on the floor to observe how many students would stop and warn each other about the water on the floor. He wrote it in his notebook and went on with his days because he liked to write, and that was his way of testing the limits of human nature and how people think and thought and did what they did. Anyway, so that day, right before that, he had talked to Beltman and told him that he needed to stop being so mean. Beltman responded with, "You got a problem, man?" That's all that was said. Then, that day later on, Beltman was running through the hallway looking for his next victim when he slipped and fell on McNitty's water experiment. Beltman fell down and hit his head really hard and got a concussion. McNitty felt kind of bad, but at the same time he didn't. And there was no one to blame but Beltman for his own stupidity. McNitty felt kind of guilty, like I said, but really didn't, because nobody knew about his water experiment and because it was top secret. So therefore, he felt Beltman got what he deserved. After this happens, McNitty realizes that there's a power in his pranks, and he pulls pranks for the rest of his life, and he continues to pull them, and they all seem to have a profound effect on people. Yeah, that's all I can say about that. But as you will see, well, I guess, that's what happened. Yeah. And he tried to explain that to everyone the best he could. That part in his life that happened. So as you may see, that McNitty's pranks had a very profound effect on people. Seemed to change them, if you will. McNitty did a lot of hobbies growing up, and he looked for work in many different ways. He tried to be a fisherman. He tried to be a baseball player. He tried to be a writer. He tried to work at Walmart. But these all failed because, well, he wasn't a slave to the man. And on top of that, his medicine made him very tired. The medicine that he took. All these unfortunate events led up to the fact that one day McNitty would be homeless. McNitty then realized that he had to to do what he could do to survive. Things were tougher than ever, and he didn't know what to do with his life. So, but he knew that his pranks had power, so he kept pulling his pranks every day, and after all that, one day his pranks turned him into a hero. And you'll see why. McNitty always loved music very much, as you can see. He always felt peace whenever he heard music. That was another thing that failed him. He felt very sympathetic to the other homeless people around him because he felt that their lives weren't fair either, and they probably had a lot of the same circumstances that he did. He did a lot of things to try to change their circumstances, but it just never worked out. And this is why his life was the way it was. That's all I could really say about it. Yeah. So this next song you're about to hear is a little footage of him playing baseball and a little classical piece. When McNitty was homeless, he wore shaggy clothes. He was in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and he wore sunglasses every day that he got from a thrift store for $2. McNitty would wander the streets and pull elaborate pranks on people, such as a look at the sky and say me as people would look up prank. That was one of his favorites. But none of these pranks were as good as his all-time best prank ever, which turned him into a hero one day. One day, McNitty was on a public bus, and a robber came aboard. He was wearing his cheap $2 sunglasses. He had been working on this new prank where he pretended to be blind and deaf every day. He did this every day on the bus for a week. People on the bus became accustomed to thinking he was blind and deaf. When a robber came aboard, he let instinct take over. The robber was about to kill somebody. That's when McNitty stood up and started walking around, wobbling, not walking well, and not seeing. The robber must have been somebody who'd been on the bus before, because he thought he was blind and deaf too. McNitty got real close to the robber, punched him in the face, and got the gun out of his hand. Then McNitty was a hero. This next song you're about to hear was the song that played in McNitty's head when he was homeless in the streets, and his mind would race, and he was not having a good time at all. He was having psychosis. It's about a man named Albert Fish, and he felt a connection with him because his mind was out of control at the time, and his expressions were very gray. This next song you're going to hear is called Gray Man, and it's the soundtrack to McNitty in the Streets. After McNitty rescues everyone, I'll tell you what happens next. Stay tuned. Thank you. McNitty was a hero. He was not homeless anymore after this. He became a famous police detective, getting in the minds of criminals and solving elaborate cases. His dreams were, as best as they could be, they were pretty much accomplished. And he was happy for the first time. He found a wife, and he started to benefit for the homeless, raising money and doing good things for the community, and he was finally happier than he ever been before. And this next song you're going to hear is a song about how happy he was called Happiness. And it's going to have some scenes, pictures from Philadelphia and the homeless. And I really wish a lot of you would help donate to this cause to help the homeless people in Philadelphia get at least a tent and a sleeping bag for the cold winter to stay warm during the winter. Please donate, and I hope you really enjoyed this movie. It's not over yet, but that's the next scene you're about to see. Thank you.
A 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4. Me and my friend out on the town, looking for some Colt 45 and some women. And when we find what we're looking for, we'll be satisfied. Just something to keep a lonely man sane for a little while. And if we don't know when we're coming home, just leave it to the books and degrees and head out to Egypt. But before you go, you must visit the king, as I hear, and realize all the pyramids have to offer. But if you go looking around, you will see life isn't always crystal clear. And if you go looking around, and you will see life isn't always the way it's supposed to be. With every last breath, you wake up in the morning, you go out of bed. You're dying inside, smoking away all your troubles. And you feel so good with that last puff. But you know the time is running out. Oh yeah. Me and my friends all running from the same fears. We don't want to be held down all of our years.